Welcome back to the Echoes of Ihsan Podcast. You know, we love to do a deep dive here, and today we're going to be diving deep into Zakat al-Fitr,
Okay,
that special charity given at the end of Ramadan.
right.
Our guide for this deep dive is going to be the Sahih Bukhari Hadith Book 25, Obligatory Charity Tax After Ramadan.
Wonderful.
And, just picture this. You've just gone through this incredible spiritual journey of Ramadan,
Yes.
a month of fasting and reflection and giving.
Absolutely.
But before you can fully celebrate Eid, there's this one last act of worship,
Mm-hmm.
Zakat al-Fitr.
That's right.
And it's not just about what you give, but also the why behind it. So let's get into the fascinating details of how this practice was observed during the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
You've painted such a vivid picture there.
Yeah.
It's like that final brushstroke on a masterpiece.
Yeah,
Completing the Ramadan experience.
absolutely. So let's break it down.
Yeah.
What exactly is Zakat al-Fitr?
At its core, Zakat al-Fitr is an obligatory charity given by every single Muslim at the end of Ramadan.
Okay.
And I mean every Muslim, no matter their age, their gender, their social standing,
Wow.
or financial situation.
Everyone.
It's a powerful symbol of unity and shared responsibility within the community.
That's incredible. It sounds like a built-in system of social safety, ensuring that everyone can participate in the Eid festivities.
Precisely. It's a beautiful example of how Islam interweaves faith and social responsibility.
Okay.
And the amount itself is very specific. One sa of food.
One set. Now, I got to admit, my ancient measurements are a little bit rusty these days.
Okay.
How much are we talking about here?
Think of it this way. One sa is roughly equivalent to 3 kilograms,
Okay.
which is about 6.6 pounds.
All right.
Imagine 3 bags of rice, for instance.
Okay.
That's the kind of quantity we're talking about.
Okay.
It's a substantial amount meant to provide meaningful sustenance.
3 kilograms. That's more than I imagined. It really highlights the importance of taking care of those in need, especially during a time of celebration. But why this specific amount? What's the reasoning behind it?
Well, it's a fascinating question, and it goes back to the very purpose of Zakat al-Fitr.
Okay.
The intention is twofold.
Yep.
It's about purifying ourselves,
Uh-huh.
those who fasted from any shortcomings during Ramadan,
That's
those
right.
little slip-ups or missed opportunities.
Right.
It's about acknowledging our human imperfections.
Okay.
And secondly, it's about ensuring that everyone, especially the less fortunate, can celebrate Eid with joy and dignity, free from the worry of putting food on the table.
So it's a beautiful blend of personal spiritual growth and communal well-being.
Exactly.
I'm really starting to see the depth of this practice, but what about the types of food?
Yes.
The Hadith seems to specify certain options.
You're right. The Hadith list dates barley raisins, cottage cheese, and later on, wheat was also included.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for me. Why these particular foods?
Yeah.
Were they just common staples during that time?
Yes.
Does it matter what's given today?
You're spot on. These were indeed common and nutritious foods readily available in Medina during the Prophet's time.
Okay.
Remember, Medina was primarily an agricultural society back then.
Right.
Dates, barley, and raisins were staples providing essential nutrients and energy.
Mm.
Cottage cheese was a valuable source of protein, and wheat, when it became more readily available, was also a crucial source of sustenance.
Okay.
The focus was on providing essential nourishment, not luxury or extravagance.
Mm-hmm.
It's about meeting those fundamental needs.
So it's about providing practical, sustaining nourishment rather than extravagant delicacies.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense in the context of ensuring everyone has enough to eat.
Yeah.
But how does that principle translate to today's world where we have such a vast array of food choices and dietary considerations?
That's where things get really thought-provoking.
Mm-hmm.
The underlying principle remains the same, providing essential needs.
Okay.
In today's world, that might mean giving the equivalent value in money, allowing recipients to choose foods that align with their needs and preferences.
Gotcha.
It could also mean choosing food items that are staple in your local community, recognizing that what's considered essential can vary from place to place.
So while the specific foods might change the core spirit of generosity, and meeting those essential needs remains constant,
Yeah.
it's all about thoughtful adaptation to our current context, which I find truly inspiring.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why of Zakat al-Fitr.
Yes.
But what about the when exactly is this charity supposed to be given?
The timing. This is crucial.
Yeah.
The Hadith is very clear.
Yeah.
The Zakat al-Fitr must be given before the Eid prayer.
Before the Eid, that's specific. There's got to be a reason, right? What's the symbolic importance of that timing?
It creates a powerful sense of shared celebration and inclusivity.
Okay.
Imagine this, everyone gathers for Eid prayer. hearts filled with joy and gratitude. But by giving Zakat al-Fitr beforehand, we're ensuring that everyone has the means to participate fully in the festivities.
Without having to worry about their basic needs, it eliminates any potential barriers to celebration.
It's like setting the stage for a truly joyful and united Eid celebration. It's practical, too, ensuring everyone can focus on the spiritual significance of the day without worldly worries.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, you mentioned that wheat was added to the list of acceptable foods later on.
Yeah.
Does that mean the form of Zakat al-Fitr can evolve over time?
That's a sharp observation.
Yeah.
Yes. The inclusion of wheat later on reveals a beautiful flexibility within this practice.
Okay.
While the core principle providing sustenance remains constant, there's room for adaptation based on available resources and the context of the community.
So it's not about rigidly adhering to a fixed list of foods,
Right.
but understanding the deeper purpose and adapting it thoughtfully.
Exactly.
It's like a living tradition responding to the needs of the time.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the example of Ibn Umar, a close companion of the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Yes, Ibn Umar. His story provides a remarkable model for understanding how Zakat al-Fitr was practiced.
He was known for his deep piety and commitment to the Prophet's teachings. What insights can we gain from his approach to Zakat al-Fitr?
His story is truly inspiring. He was incredibly meticulous about giving Zakat al-Fitr not just for himself, but for his entire family.
Wow.
Including his children.
Even for his children, that speaks volumes about his dedication to fulfilling this obligation. It shows a profound understanding of the importance of Zakat al-Fitr, extending it to his loved ones.
Exactly. And remember, this was a time when resources weren't always abundant.
Right.
There's even an account of him giving barley when dates which were preferred were scarce.
Wow.
It shows a willingness to adapt to circumstances while upholding the spirit of giving.
Giving, even when resources were tight, that really highlights a deep commitment to this act of charity, a beautiful testament to his faith. It makes you wonder, are there any other specific lessons we can learn from his practice?
There is one detail that stands out to me. Ibn Umar chose to give his Zakat al-Fitr to designated collectors.
Designated collector. So it wasn't just about giving to any individual in need,
Right.
but contributing to a more organized system of distribution.
Precisely, this points to the significance of organized charity in ensuring that resources are used efficiently and reach those who need them most effectively.
Okay.
It's about maximizing the impact of our giving.
So it's not just about individual acts of kindness, but also recognizing the role of communal structures in amplifying the impact of our charity. What a powerful concept.
It is, and this leads us to an important question.
Okay.
How did this transition from individual giving to a more structured system happen?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about the historical evolution of Zakat al-Fitr.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that?
It's fascinating to trace that evolution, that the seeds of organized charity were actually sown by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon himself.
Okay.
He recognized that as the Muslim community grew, a more systematic approach was needed to ensure that resources were collected and distributed fairly and efficiently.
So this idea of organized charity wasn't an afterthought. It was a core element woven into the fabric of the early Muslim community.
Exactly.
It wasn't just about individual acts of giving.
Yes.
It was about creating a system that could support the needs of a growing and diverse population.
Think of it like a well-tended garden.
Right.
Individual acts of kindness are like the seeds, but a structured system, like the framework of a garden, helps those seeds grow and flourish, providing nourishment to a wider area. As the Muslim community expanded beyond Medina, this system organically evolved to meet the needs of a larger and more diverse population, encompassing different regions, cultures, and economic circumstances.
That's a beautiful analogy. It makes me think about all the modern-day charitable organizations that have sprung up over the centuries.
Yes.
From local community initiatives to global NGOs, we see echoes of this early system of organized charity. It's like a timeless principle that continues to inspire acts of giving and social responsibility.
And while the methods and structures may vary across time and place, the underlying principle of efficient and equitable distribution remains at the heart of organized charity.
Okay.
It's about ensuring that our acts of giving have the greatest possible impact, reaching those who need it most. Just like a well-designed irrigation system in a garden, ensuring that water reaches every plant, nourishing the entire ecosystem.
So in a way, by supporting organized charities today, we're carrying on a legacy that goes all the way back to the Prophet's time.
Beautifully put.
It's a beautiful connection to the past, a reminder that we're part of a much larger story of generosity and compassion.
And it highlights how Zakat al-Fitr isn't just a historical practice,
Right.
but a living, breathing principle that continues to guide our actions in the world today. It's a reminder that our individual actions can contribute to a collective good, creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond ourselves.
Okay, so we've delved into the mechanics of Zakat al-Fitr, the what, why, the when, and even how it evolves over time.
Yep.
But I'm eager to explore the deeper spiritual significance of this practice.
Okay.
Beyond the practical act of giving, what are the intangible benefits, the spiritual fruits that it cultivates within us?
You've touched upon a crucial aspect. The spiritual dimension is truly the heart and soul of Zakat al-Fitr.
Okay.
Remember, it's not just about handing over material goods.
Right.
It's about cultivating certain qualities within ourselves.
Okay.
Nurturing our inner landscape just as we nourish the community around us.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's like tending to our inner garden, so to speak.
Yes.
What are some of these qualities that Zakat al-Fitr helps us cultivate?
Think about the very act of giving it requires us to step outside of our own self-centeredness, our individual desires, and truly consider the needs of others. It expands our capacity for empathy, allowing us to connect with the struggles and joys of those around us. It cultivates compassion, a deep sense of care and concern for our fellow human beings. It reminds us that we are not isolated islands, but interconnected threads in the tapestry of humanity.
And these qualities, empathy and compassion, are especially potent after a month of intense spiritual focus, like Ramadan, wouldn't you say?
Precisely.
It's like taking those spiritual lessons and translating them into tangible actions, connecting our inner world with the outer world.
Ramadan is a time of deep introspection, a period where we turn inward, purifying our hearts and strengthening our connection with the divine.
Right.
Zakat al-Fitr serves as a bridge, helping us carry those spiritual gains into the rest of the year.
Okay.
It's a reminder that our spiritual journey is not a solitary pursuit, but one that's intimately intertwined with our responsibility to those around us.
So it's like taking the light we've kindled within ourselves during Ramadan and sharing it with the world, illuminating not just our own path, but the paths of others as well.
That's a beautiful image. It captures the essence perfectly.
Yeah.
Zakat al-Fitr is about aligning our inner transformation with our outward actions.
Creating a harmony between our spiritual aspirations and our social responsibility.
And that outward action in this case is about ensuring that everyone can experience the joy of Eid without hardship.
Exactly.
It's about creating a sense of true communal celebration where everyone feels included and cared for.
It's about fostering a spirit of shared abundance, recognizing that true joy is amplified when it's shared with others. It dissolves the barriers of social and economic difference, reminding us that we are all united in our humanity, bound by a common thread of compassion and shared destiny.
This conversation is really illuminating the multifaceted nature of Zakat al-Fitr.
Yes.
It's not merely a transaction, but a transformative practice that touches upon so many facets of our lives. Our spirituality, our relationship with our community, and our understanding of what it means to live a truly meaningful life. You've captured it perfectly. It's a practice that encourages us to evolve on multiple levels, recognizing that our spiritual growth is intimately connected to the well-being of those around us. It's a reminder that true fulfillment comes not just from personal piety, but from extending our compassion outwards, embracing a holistic approach to life that integrates spiritual insight with social action.
I feel like we could talk about this for hours. The more we delve into it, the more layers of meaning we uncover. It's truly fascinating.
I agree. It's a testament to the richness and depth of Islamic teachings, which always strive to address both the inner and outer dimensions of human experience. But before we get carried away, perhaps we should shift gears.
Okay.
And delve into some of the practical details of Zakat al-Fitr, equipping our listeners with the knowledge they need to put these beautiful principles into action.
Yes, absolutely. After all, knowledge without action is incomplete. It's like having a map, but never embarking on the journey. So let's explore those practicalities together, giving our listeners a compass to navigate this important act of worship.
All right, so let's get down to the practicalities. You know, we've established that Zakat al-Fitr is an obligation for every Muslim.
Yes.
And it's given before the Eid prayer. But how do we actually go about fulfilling this obligation, you know, in our modern world?
That's a question many people ponder. You know, especially as the world has changed so much since the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Yeah.
But don't worry, the guiding principles remain clear.
Okay.
We just need to understand the amount, the permissible items to give, and who are the rightful recipients.
Okay, let's break those down, starting with the amount. Is it still that one saw of food we talked about earlier?
Yes, the principle of one saw still stands.
Okay.
But the application might look a bit different today.
Okay.
Remember, a saw is a volume measurement.
Right.
Roughly equivalent to 3 kilograms or about 6.6 pounds.
Back in the Prophet's time, this was usually measured using common staples like dates, barley, or raisins.
Right, those were the everyday foods we discussed earlier, but those aren't necessarily the staples in every community now.
Exactly. That's where the beauty of this practice lies. Scholars have generally agreed that it's permissible to give the equivalent value of one saw of a common staple food in your particular region. This could be rice, wheat, flour, lentils, or any other food that forms the foundation of a typical diet in your community.
So it's about adapting to our current context.
Yes.
Upholding the spirit of the obligation, providing a substantial amount of sustenance to those in need. It's like a universal principle with a localized application that makes a lot of sense. What about giving money instead of actual food? Is that allowed?
That's a very common question, and the good news is, yes, it is generally accepted.
Okay.
Most scholars agree that giving the monetary equivalent of one saw of food is permissible.
Right.
In fact, it's often more practical in today's world. It allows recipients to purchase exactly what they need most, respecting their individual preferences and dietary needs.
That's so important, especially considering dietary restrictions or allergies. It gives people the agency to choose what works best for them. Okay, so we've covered the what and how much now. Who are the eligible recipients of Zakat al-Fitr?
The Hadith specifically mentions that Zakat al-Fitr is intended for the poor and needy.
Okay.
This typically includes those who are struggling to meet their basic necessities, such as food, shelter, and clothing.
Right.
It's about prioritizing those who are most vulnerable within our communities.
So it's about making sure that everyone, regardless of their circumstances, can experience the joy and celebration of Eid free from the burden of basic needs. It's such a powerful expression of communal care and support.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of distributing Zakat al-Fitr, do we have to personally find people in need, or can we give through more organized channels?
Both approaches are valid, and each has its own merits.
Okay.
You can certainly choose to distribute your Zakat al-Fitr directly to individuals or families, to be in need.
Right.
There's a beautiful personal touch to this approach, fostering direct connections within your community. You witness firsthand the impact of your giving, which can be incredibly rewarding.
I can imagine the direct connection adds another layer of meaning to the act of giving.
It does. It nurtures those bonds of empathy and compassion we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
However, there are also significant advantages to giving through established charitable organizations.
Right. Like we discussed earlier with Ibn Umar's practice, there's a wisdom to organized charity, especially as communities grow larger and more complex.
Exactly. Organizations often have the infrastructure and resources to reach a wider network of people in need, ensuring that the Zakat al-Fitr is distributed efficiently, equitably, and in a way that addresses diverse needs. They have systems in place to identify those who are most vulnerable and can channel resources, effectively maximizing the impact of our giving. So there's no one right way to fulfill this obligation. It's about finding the method that resonates most deeply with you, whether it's that personal connection of direct giving or the broader reach of organized charities. It's about aligning our intentions with our actions in a way that feels authentic and meaningful.
That's beautifully said. At the end of the day, the most important thing is that we approach this act of worship with sincerity, a generous heart, and a genuine desire to make a positive difference in the lives of others. Whether we choose to give directly or through an organization, the essence of Zakat al-Fitr is about embodying the spirit of compassion, generosity, and social responsibility. As we conclude our deep dive into Zakat al-Fitr, what are some key takeaways you would like our listeners to remember, especially as they prepare for the joyous occasion of Eid?
I think the most important takeaway is that Zakat al-Fitr is not just a ritualistic obligation ticked off a checklist. It's an act of worship that has profound spiritual and social implications, enriching both our inner world and the world around us. It purifies our hearts, cultivates compassion, and contributes to a more just and equitable society.
It's a beautiful reminder that our spiritual journey is not separate from our responsibility to those around us.
Exactly.
It's about integrating our faith into every aspect of our lives,
Right.
weaving those threads of compassion and generosity into the fabric of our communities.
Precisely as we approach Eid, Let's remember the true spirit of this occasion, a time of shared joy, overflowing gratitude, and boundless generosity. Let's carry these insights with us, striving to embody the values of compassion, generosity, and social responsibility, not just during Ramadan, but throughout the year.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of exploration and discovery. May your Eid be filled with blessings, overflowing joy, and a renewed sense of connection to your community.
And until we meet again, may your path be illuminated by the light of knowledge, compassion, and meaningful action.